We have a real crisis in our nation right now with a level of corporate concentration like has not been seen for generations, going all the way back to the trust-busting days of Roosevelt. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that to my left is Amy Klobuchar, who literally wrote the book on antitrust enforcement, and having her leadership here and continued focus is extraordinary, and I'm grateful to serve in between both of these individuals, and just feel very grateful today. I want to thank Mr. Sarandos and Mr. Campbell for coming here. It is not fun often to testify before Congress. Sometimes I wonder if it ranks higher than a visit to the proctologist or to the dentist. I'm not sure, but it means a lot that you all are here.
Proctologists and dentists everywhere are outraged by that statement.
I am sure I will get letters. I'm sure I will get letters. We're going to examine a lot of the specific facts of this proposed Warner Brothers Netflix merger, but I do want to say very specifically that there is an absence. I believe that this sale of Warner Brothers to any competitor could have serious consequences for consumers and for the television and film industry. And the absence of not having Paramount Skydance here, who has made a hostile takeover, is frustrating. I invited David Ellison, Chair and CEO of Paramount Skydance, to appear today. Mr. Ellison declined, stating that Paramount, quote, does not believe it would be useful or helpful for them to participate as a witness because their offer had been rejected. I'd like to just ask for unanimous consent for this letter to be submitted into the record. I do want to thank Mr. Ellison, though, for meeting with me and I know other senators in person to answer our questions. It was actually a very fruitful conversation. It's unfortunate it wasn't in public. Paramount's still a player here. They have made a hostile bid of $108 billion. And for that very reason, I again just want to state that their participation would be really relevant to this hearing. And it would be, in fact, be helpful for Congress to question them about this effort, especially given the serious concerns that I have regarding President Trump's involvement in the deal and the allegations of political favoritism. We're in an unprecedented time where we're seeing executive power being exercised in a way that Congress should be checking. We have seen allegations that Paramount has promised the president to make sweeping changes to CNN after Trump said that he thinks, quote, the people that have run CNN for the last long period of time are a disgrace. I think that it's imperative that CNN be sold, end quote. Days after the Netflix Warner Brothers deal was announced, President Trump purchased $2 million in stocks and bonds in both Netflix and Warner Brothers. I think it's outrageous for any senator, any House member, or for the president or vice president for that matter, to be trading in individual stocks when they have extraordinary insider information and influence over policies that move corporate power. This is, again, another example of the corruption that is cancerously attacking our democracy. President Trump is using government power to reward allies, punish perceived enemies, and enable private enrichment at rates we have not seen before. While ordinary Americans are left paying higher prices, consumers are suffering, and money is siphoned off to the top, leaving families and workers worse off. And aside from the concerns of this administration's exploitation of antitrust enforcement, the acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery by either Netflix or Paramount or any other competitor would result in concerning consolidation of a sector of our economy that has already been putting a squeeze on consumers and artists. Let's be clear, the sale of Warner Brothers to either Netflix or Paramount would have a significant impact on tens of thousands of Americans that work in the entertainment industry and American consumers. I've been hearing from people throughout this industry concerns, fears, worries, legitimate folks that don't have a political axe to grind who are very concerned about the matters we're discussing today and how they're going to impact their lives. So this is not an either-or situation. With either merger, another corporation will gain significant control over what we see, what we hear, and the news we consume. The acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery by either Netflix or Paramount or any other competitor would result in consolidation of a sector of our economy that is already seeing significant consolidation. It's something that we should be talking about, and we should be asking the serious questions. With either merger, another corporation will have that control, increased control over what we see, what we hear, and what news we consume. Now, let's be clear. I was born in 1969. My father made me sit down and watch Star Trek and watch Nichelle Nichols, one of the first African-American women to star in a show like that, made me watch movies like In the Heat of the Night. So much of our culture was shaped by extraordinary artists who showed diverse voices, who dreamed and saw a future that seemed almost impossible, that in fact there'd be a black senator sitting right now as a ranking member of this kind of committee. Art matters. Art is vital. With a merger like this, it has real concerns about art, about culture, about the voices of Americans, about the moral imagination of a nation. For years, workers, creators, and consumers have been told that consolidation in media and streaming would mean more choice, more unique stories, lower prices. I don't think we've seen that. What we have seen with each merger is higher subscription costs, fewer streaming options, shrinking creative opportunities. I've heard them from artists that I know personally. They speak of lower pay and growing instability for workers across the industry. Many voices that felt that just a decade ago they had chances to bring their art to life now worry that those options are dwindling. Even now, pre-merger, a small number of streaming companies control a lot, from content production to distribution and to the actual platforms through which consumers access entertainment. We are seeing a lot of vertical integration. We know Netflix power. I am a subscriber. I watch Netflix with probably hours I don't want to confess here in an open hearing and put on the record, but it is the dominant streaming platform of my household as well as in our nation. And that's just domestically. It has an extraordinary global scale and reach. Worldwide, they have over 325 million consumers, with their closest competitor, Disney Plus, with half of that at 130 million subscribers worldwide. Warner Brothers controls one of the most valuable and largest content libraries in the world, including HBO, Harry Potter, CNN, and for me, one of my favorite platforms is DC Comics. And the fact is that Netflix-Warner Brothers transaction would consolidate the largest distribution platforms with one of the largest content producers, and that should raise questions that Americans should have answered. I have concerns about Netflix getting more power over consumers and leaving fewer alternatives and streaming platforms. I have concerns about startups and competition, and of course, as I've already stated, about the impact on artists and artistry in our country. I am angry about our antitrust laws, which have been ignored by Democrats and Republicans in the White House. I believe that we are now seeing consolidation that is screwing Americans from our farms to pharma. We are in a crisis in America. Our antitrust laws are designed to ensure that independent studios, smaller streaming services, and new entrants are not shut out and left unable to compete with companies that control both content and distribution. The concern that so many Americans have is not just about their jobs and the prices they're paying, but as my father, should he be alive right now, would be concerned about less movies and less original story making. We have such a vibrant entertainment industry. We have an entertainment industry that's the envy of the world and in fact shapes the world. I want to make sure that everything we're doing is protecting what is so profoundly American: freedom, the fact that workers are treated fairly, that consumers have choice, that competition exists. I urge federal enforcers to review this merger fairly and without political bias, without a president bringing his personality and his political opportunism to bear. I think what the American people deserve is to see our laws, as conceived by previous generations, enforced justly and thoroughly.